in this world of vibrations, we literally have the ability to perform magic. We do so through language. What's up, my friends? Welcome back. I'm sitting here out in nature, enjoying myself for this beautiful day, sitting under this beautiful tree, appreciating of this experience of life that we're all going through. Now, this past weekend was by a long shot one of the most transformational experiences of my life, and I'll share more openly as the whole thing integrates into my day-to-day and as I really grasp the lessons that I've gotten from my experience. I think it's going to be one in which I'm going to be pulling something from it for the rest of my life, and that's the beauty of it. In this experience of life, there are lessons in every single turn, at every single moment, if we are looking for them, especially when we start to dive into the deeper realms of this world in which what you think is possible is just a fraction of what's possible. So, welcome back to the High Performance Method, and I'm excited. I'm excited because this weekend opened up a couple different things for me as to what I'm looking to do moving forward with this platform of communication that I have and this passion in my heart that is just looking to express itself. So what I'm doing moving forward, and this is again focused and intended on bringing you value and to start to take a look at life and different things through different perspectives, we're going to have two different shows. Okay, we're going to have presence and being, and then we're going to have being in action. Now, these two shows, these two different categories of conversations, we can put it that way, are very simple. Presence and being, as the name suggests, is a conversation about how can we develop a level of presence in our lives. And from that level of presence in our lives, how can we then choose a certain level of being? And from that certain level of being, what starts to open up itself from that? Now, presence and being, you can almost put it like it's a conversation more focused on the mindfulness aspect of life, the spiritual aspect of life. It's a conversation in which we'll dive into more of the esoteric teachings of life and the many masters that have walked through Earth. Presence and being is one of those conversations in which we'll look into different philosophies, different ways of thinking, different ideas. And again, this is all focused on the internal being of a human being, from which we can start to take different actions. Which brings me into the second show, being in action. So being in action is exactly that, the being in action. Now that we've chosen a particular sense of being, and now that we're getting aware as to what this whole experience of life is and what it could be, because ultimately who knows what it really is, what it could be, from there, what kind of avenues of action are now available to us? How can we now take what we're learning about ourselves and our introspection, and how can we now bring it into the world outside? How can we use the information that we're gathering about ourselves, and how can we use it for the world? Being in action. One works with the other. The best way that I can look at this whole, as I again integrating the lessons, without a level of presence in our life, we can just take action over and over and over and over again, and we'll accomplish. However, since there isn't a level of presence to begin with, because of that lack of presence, this action, this accomplishment may end up being very empty. And that is the last thing we want. The last thing we want is to get to a specific place and feel empty about it. You climb up the mountain only to realize that it wasn't even the right mountain you wanted to climb. And in order for us to see which mountain we are really looking to climb, we start to take a look inside. That's the presence in being. Now, we can be all we want, and this is the whole thing about you can meditate all day long, and what's that going to bring you in your life? Who knows? It may bring you peace. However, if we're just being without taking any sort of action, are we actually putting to use the lessons that we're learning from our experience of being? And this is now where being in action connects with the high performance coaching that we do so much. The conversation of being in action is all focused on, now that we've got this deeper understanding of ourselves and our lives, and we're continuously getting deeper and deeper into it, because there isn't this like, I got it. If you tell yourself you got it, beware, because you at that point in time put a wall in front of yourself and put a wall up in front of yourself. No, it's about a deeper understanding day in and day out, consistently. So then when we start to take action, the actions that we're taking are actually conscious actions. They're not just actions that we're taking because of randomness. We can do that. if we want to continue to create a life in which we're totally engaged, relationships that are deeply connected to us, living a life in which we're fully excited about what we're doing, there needs to be a certain level of conscious choice taken in the way you're being and in the actions you're taking. So moving forward, it's going to be presence in being and being in action. 2 conversations. Now, they're not going to both happen in 1 week. No, we're going to take them one by one. 1 week it'll be one show, 1 week will be another show. Now, heck, this is all about figuring out the structure as you go. Maybe 1 week we'll talk about presence and being, and for the next month we'll talk about presence and being. So just a message to you. We're going to dive deeper into ourselves, get deeper into who we are. Ask questions about this whole meaning of life, and ask questions about what is beyond this life that we may not fully comprehend right now. And do we even have to comprehend it? And then from there, what are we doing moving forward? What are those actions? What are those things that we're striving towards? What are the accomplishments that we're moving towards on a day-to-day basis? Being in action. Now, to leave you with this, and we're going to go deeper into this conversation, but just to give you a nice little iceberg. Iceberg, right? So it said iceberg, I think so. Anyway, you get the point. The top, right? The little surface of it. The conversation is on language. And we got to be super aware. We got to be very aware of what are the things that we're saying to ourselves, what are the things that we're saying to another, what are the things that are continuously running in here and coming out of here. Because in this world of vibrations, you're listening to me right now through vibrations. In this world of vibrations, we literally have the ability to perform magic. We do so through language. If I say something of love to my spouse, to my close ones, to my friends, I just cast a spell of love. If I speak words of anger, hatred, bigotry, jealousy, envy, so on and so forth, I'm putting a spell of dark magic on the people around me. Now, language is one of those things that we just grow up with it. If you grow up in a house where there's multiple languages spoken, which is my case, I learned Spanish and English. Now, it wasn't like I automatically learned English when I came into the States. It had to be a very conscious choice for me to learn English. Now, as we're going through life, we can just say whatever we want to say. There's nobody there to really filter it. People will get affected by it. We ourselves get affected by it. But there's no one telling you to not do something. So this is for us. We start the conversation and we're tying it back to these 2 shows, presence in being and being in action. With language, we can start to get aware of the way in which we look at the world. We can start to take a look and we can see that the way in which we view our life is largely given by the language which we speak. And if you're wondering what is in your speaking, very simply look around you. What are you experiencing? How are the people around you treating you? How are you treating people around you? How is your work situation? How are you experiencing yourself and your hobbies? Look, the lens with which we're looking at life, it's not given by this. It's given largely by this. Because when we speak something, we create it and we cast it forward, and then we're walking into that. As we're going through your day-to-day, I invite you, be aware and be conscious, be vigilant. What is the language that you're using on a day-to-day basis? What is the language that you're focusing in on a moment-to-moment basis? With that, very clearly, it's not about controlling the mind. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions with meditation. It's not controlling the mind. Controlling the mind is like me trying to stop the water from flowing out in the bay right now. It won't happen. Controlling the mind is not what we're looking to do. We're just looking to become aware of what's going on in here. And in that level of awareness, we can now start to take a different level of action from that awareness, the presence. It's not about controlling the mind, it's about being watchful of the mind. It's about being aware of what's going on through your head. These 6 inches that control everything around you. What is going on in there? And then when you start to get aware of it, you can then start to rewire it. You can start to shift it. You can start to focusing in on different things. But first, we must be aware of what's going on in here. It's more than likely a subconscious habit. And up until now, you may have not noticed the things that you're telling yourself. And some of those things that you're telling yourself, if you heard somebody else say them out loud, you'd probably walk the other way. So just beware. Get conscious. Thank you for being with me one more time. It's going to be a really fun experience as we move forward, because again, as life evolves, so are we. And in this conversation of life, we are the ones that are doing a lot of the evolution. It's not just randomness. We have a lot of responsibility in what's taking place. Thank you. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Before you go, just want to remind you guys, July 9th, over through the Ohana Rising community, we're going to be looking at the screening of Stressed, a documentary shot by Luke Segredo and the Indigo Rising team. Phenomenal documentary about something called NET, Neuro-Emotional Technique. Beautiful, beautiful modality when it comes to releasing different stagnant energy in the body. I won't go much deeper into it because that is not my field to speak about. Now, I'm gonna put a link down below. You can easily access the booking for the screening. It's at no cost. We do, however, highly encourage some sort of donation you're choosing. The main purpose of this is to raise funds for whatever we choose to support, whether it's a charity, nonprofit, whatever it is. If you're gonna come, you don't have to donate. We ask you to. And it's not to us, it's your choosing whatever you want to donate to, whatever foundation. Most importantly, show up with an open mind. Show up with an open mind, ready to learn something that may easily impact the way in which you view your life and the stress that you go through on a day-to-day basis. Because it's very clear that stress is a very serious thing, and if it's not taken care of, it can easily build up. Want to know how? The video down below is a very short video as to how stress affects our body. Looking forward to getting together as this whole thing progresses, and as we grow and as we become more and more and more as a community. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us July 9th. The link is down below, no cost, a lot of value. Most importantly, how did I almost forget this? Most importantly, after the actual movie itself, we're going to have two of the main doctors in the movie, and they're going to be doing a Q&A, answering some questions that you may have, helping you understand deeper personally. If you have questions specifically to you, great. That's the time to show up so you can ask them personally. It can give you personal feedback. July 9th, link down below. I'll see you then.